some thoughts on generalism and specialism. So, in my early life, and uh, also I see in the general culture in the West, as I experienced it in the Netherlands growing up, um, is one of specialism. So, take for example, medicine student of medicine. Of course, they start off with a general field of inquiry, general courses, but soon enough they are led into narrower and narrower and narrower areas of expertise, so that your doctor will know everything about the upper left quarter of the big toe nail or something, um, and be solely focused on that and spend all efforts on understanding this, to the neglect of uh, yeah other areas of the body, and the especially the and also the connection of the small and the big, the specific and the universal. Let alone, let's say, how to put a flower into a pot. Yeah. So in my teens, early 20s, I was very much a specialist, and in my case, I was very mono-focused on playing violin, and I also played football when I was a teenager, but I dropped that, and yeah, especially in my early 20s, I was very mono-focused on playing the violin, and mono-focused on intellectual development. Yes, starting out in biology and going into philosophy, trying to get everything out of that. So basically, my whole life was playing the violin and being smart, trying to be the smartest kid in the room. That was my whole thing. Well, I was miserable. I can tell you I was miserable. Yeah, and some hints were stirring in me that yeah, I needed a change. And I knew for one thing that I was very unhappy with my body, my relationship with my body. Felt very stiff. I was constantly, my muscles were pulling all the time, and I was constantly having tics, and I was just not at home. Yeah, and one day I decided I want to get into martial arts. This was a deep wish, one that had been sitting inside me since childhood, since maybe I was 7 or 8 years old, and I joined a friend to a judo class, and but I never got the opportunity. Until I was about 22, 23, when the inner yearning became strong enough that I decided to take action for myself. And yeah, that really opened things up for me, because to my surprise, wasting this time on something seemingly unrelated to music. By the way, I was also playing the piano at the time, and which was already kind of a shift away from my a small step away from my very narrow specialism in violin. So I was playing piano and still playing violin as well. And I got into the martial art of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Um, yeah, I got into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and well, what I found was, I was mostly playing for practicing the piano then, and I found that, hey, I understand certain maneuvers on the piano keyboard. I understood them in a new way. I found more understanding thanks to what I learned in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So yeah, that's a great example for me of the power of generalism, of the power of stepping away from one activity and getting into something entirely new, seemingly unrelated, and then finding that learning something new, in my case Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, actually helped me to improve in that other field, which is my music. And also vice versa. I brought a lot from my I couldn't believe that so this is going deep into the I'm digging deep in the well now. Picture me, I'm 14 years old, I'm playing the recorder. I spent a lot of energy playing the recorder. Why? Long story. It's a wooden flute, for those who are not very at home in English. Wooden flute. Every kid in Holland plays it when they're 5, and it sounds like shit. But if you stay with it and you progress to a high level, it can be angelic. That's the recorder. And I had a teacher, had a very difficult relationship with her, lots of frustration going back and forth. She didn't let me do what I wanted to do. I did things that she didn't want me to do. But she had a cue for me, which was, whenever you practice a difficult part, do it 3 times in a row. Play it 3 times in a row correctly, and then you know you can play it. If you can't do that, you can't play it. And here I was on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mats practicing moves and finding that principle that applied to this stupid nerdy instrument that I hated as I was 14 and was deeply ashamed to associate myself with it. I found that years later in the tough, cool Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, it was just as applicable. Yeah. Gold is gold is gold. Yes. So, seemingly unrelated fields of development, of personal development, in the end are always connected, because it's you, or in this story, me, who was the binding factor. So So there's a nice paradox. There's a nice paradox there. Because, like Ido Portal says, he's a great example of a generalist within the movement arts, within the it's all a matter of the scale that you're looking at. So Ido Portal, a movement master. He does a bit of martial arts, a bit of dancing, a bit of gymnastics, and he combines it into this awesome level of skill that he has. So he's a generalist. He doesn't just do one thing, but he does something that lies in between all of those, the intersection of all these different disciplines. And in that, he has created a mastery that nobody else has. So by being a generalist, he is a specialist at being himself, in his own words. And that is something that I found, that I touched upon when I freed myself from constraining specialism and opened myself to generalism, which really was a specialism of becoming myself.